Today, I've got a killer theme for you because I know this is what everyone is talking about at the moment, and I'm not jumping on the bandwagon, but I do feel like I've got some really insightful ideas to share about the role of AI in the future of the corporate world. Oh, it's so juicy, isn't it? It's like we're living in a sci-fi film. Oh my goodness. So, we've all seen the headlines, and we all know that AI is being presented to us pretty deliberately, I'd say, by some quite worried journalists, as a threat to our livelihoods, our industries, our very way of existence. Um, and that's a choice. If you want to see it that way, you absolutely can. Go ahead and tune out of this YouTube video. But I don't think you do see it that way. And I think you're open to being curious and you're fascinated by this as much as I am. So let's settle in. Let's have a little chat about this and where it's going to. I'm going to use the comms industry, so PR and marketing, as a bit of an example case because that's where I'm from. But I feel like this is going to apply to lots of sectors as well. So look at it this way, okay? I feel like, yes, it's going to be amazing for processes and it's going to like swipe out a whole load of tasks that we were bored of doing anyway. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you're finding this as well, but as soon as you do something on AI, it's almost like your brain and your body just adapts so quickly to that new way of doing it that you never want to use the old way again. I'm certainly finding that with the ways that I'm using it, which is super basic, like chat GPT stuff. But it's like all of a sudden I'm feeling like, oh my goodness, I've lost some of my skills to write a good headline on my own or that kind of thing. But it's like, yeah, whatever. We've seen so many examples of that in recent years of how we're just adapting and up leveling our tools. And yeah, we're going to leave behind some of the natural abilities that we have as humans, but it doesn't mean that we have to feel disempowered around that. So, the really core starting point of this is when you know, when you know who you are and you know what you want out of your life and you know what you love and you know your strengths, you know the values that you bring as a person, and you love the environment and as in the environment you operate in, whether that's like a working environment or a field of play in terms of specialism. Um, and you feel good about what you're here on this planet to do and to bring, then AI starts to become this amazing tool for helping you to go further with that. And this really does involve self-work. So this takes you out of the sphere of AI is doing this to my job, and we're all, as let's say, a group of journalists, gonna lose our opportunities because AI has taken over this. So actually, all those journalists are complete individuals and they're all on different life trajectories. Okay, they just happen to have the same job title. So it's not really a simple, clear cut us versus the machine scenario. Actually, there's a journalist there called Dave, who is really, really deeply inspired by being, let's say, he's really into communicating to the public in a way that he feels is true to what's happening. He's going to find another way to do that, or he's going to find a way to use AI to help with that integrity and to stay true to this deep mission that he has. There's another journalist called Janet who is actually mainly interested in gardening, and she got into writing for BBC Gardener's World magazine because that was her passion. She's actually going to leave journalism because of AI, and she's going to use AI in a different way to run her new personal shopping business from garden centres, where she goes around and helps people pick out their plants. So that's a really like random example that just came into my head. But do you see what I mean? Like you're as soon as you start to get that mentality of like we're a crowd, we're a herd of sheep, and there's a fox in the mix, that is AI, then of course you're going to feel the fear factor. But if you really start to kind of look at what matters to you in your world, like maybe you're really committed to your local community and you're down the farmers market every week and you're supporting people in that community, or you're a sports coach in it, and you want to make sure that that's still a central part of your world, then you'll find a way to do that, whether or not involves doing the same job that you're doing and being paid for it. You'll adapt your life. And yes, it will be rocked and shaken, and you will be asked to make some really powerful decisions for yourself about how much you want to stay in the career that you're already doing versus how much you want to actually really redesign your life. And so let's take the comms industry as an example here, because I've been thinking about this really carefully. And like I say, it's the sector that I know the best. So this is what I think is going to happen to comms careers over the next few years. And you'll excuse me if I refer to some notes on this topic. Um, I think, and this is really exciting, I think there's going to be a core of entrepreneurial, whip smart communications professionals, you can lump in marketing as well, who create some fantastic new services and models that redefine how comms and marketing are presented and what they actually are in a world of artificial intelligence. And I think they're going to do really, really, really well. So, traditional PR agencies, if you want to bring it down to that, are going to completely implode, and there will be some just more visionary, forward focused, tech savvy individuals who love to problem solve and can't wait to get their hands on actually, well, what are the bits that we need to map out and control, and what will this mean for the world of influencer comms and some niche services and all these kind of things that people like me are just clever enough to imagine are going to come through. And that's going to be super exciting. And that also means there will be job opportunities in the comms industry, because not all of it will be done by machines, of course not. So, there'll still be account managers and directors and all that good stuff. But it will be a much smaller pool. And I'd like to just refer to an article that I was, again, just thought was really good. So this was on Provoke Media, which is like a PR title, and it was by James Beechner Collins, who's a partner at M&A Advisory, Tobin Leff. And I really like what he was saying about how the models are all going to change and that kind of thing. And the triangle is going to reverse. So you don't necessarily have this large pool of more junior and middle people, but actually it could go the other way. So you've got more senior specialists because the clients are coming to them for advice and insights rather than those kind of let's crack on through all these jobs. So, yeah, so they will agencies and businesses that serve in the comms and marketing space and in-house comms and marketing people are all still going to be kicking around, but it's going to be super interesting to see how much more entrepreneurial the successful ones are going to be. So adaptive, agile, fast thinking, opportunistic, and keen to like make some decent money out of this and out of this whole new world. Um, so yeah, I can't wait to see how that plays out. So that's one kind of stream and column. And then I think there'll be alongside that people who are really good at it and good at what they do in that field, but who aren't necessarily kind of making like living and breathing it. So they want it as part of their world. But I wonder if more of them will be sort of part-time or dipping in and out or called in, either as consultants or as, so that the agencies don't have such high costs of all these full-time senior employees on their books. Um, and those people will actually really like that because it will mean that their world is more blended and less of their time is going towards this kind of one area of their life. Like maybe they've got children and they do half and half childcare with their partner, and they're avoiding all the expensive nursery costs or whatever it is. Maybe their income will drop and maybe they'll adapt their lifestyle because of that. People get so scared once they get in a certain salary bracket that anything that doesn't meet that or look the same as it is like a demotion or a regression. Whereas actually, it's like you go in different directions and you acquire, maybe they'll become like part-time crypto investors. It's all possible. People are so kind of fixed on like, no, it's going to be this level in this job, and then it will be that in that job, and it's just not going to be like that in the future. So that could be fun. And then the next column of individuals in the comms and marketing industry will be the ones who simply leave altogether. And yes, a lot of them will be made redundant. A lot, I would say, some of the smart ones who maybe are doing the really deep thinking about what they want from their careers are going to leave by choice because they're just going to choose to say, okay, I see this is happening. It's not really my bag. I wasn't 100% sure why I was in comms anyway. So my calling is to be a teacher or a nurse or something that, who knows, whatever. And they'll do some retraining and they'll have an amazing, fulfilling career in a completely different sector. I think one of the girls that I trained with in my agency, she did like a couple of years in it, and she was just like she was really super bright, like an Oxbridge graduate, but she just like did not love comms at all and left and retrained as a doctor. So it does happen already, I think if people are gonna do the work and understand themselves, they'll be better placed to make those type of pivots to completely different areas if they want to. So we'll have those individuals. Um, and yeah, I mean, I could go into like freelancers and consultants and that type of thing. I think they'll still be around, but again, there'll be less of them. So others will move out or kind of just accept that they're only going to be working less than they are now. Um, and in that space, and really across all of this, what's going to matter is not just how clever you are or how much experience you've got or what your creds are, but how you present yourself to the outside world. And I'm not saying that this is a case of, oh, you've got to be super slick and, you've got to know all the tricks of the trade of presentation and sales training and that kind of thing. Obviously, a bit of that can help. But actually, what this is about is trust. And again, this comes up in the article that I mentioned. I'll put a link in the show notes. So, James Beechner Collins says that, where's that quote? somewhere in here, I've lost it now, but he says that trust is going to be one of the key differentiators. He doesn't drill further down into that. And this was specifically about agencies. Um, yeah, trusted thinking. That was the phrase he uses. How fast you deliver smart, strategic, trusted thinking, and you'll thrive. Trust is such an interesting one, isn't it? Because it doesn't just come from a place of logic. It comes from a place of connection with individuals. So I've got pins and needles in my leg again. Really must find a better way to sit than sort of cross-legged on a block on the floor, but I don't know, it just feels right being grounded. Um, and I love this idea that it's going to be people who you feel like you can trust, particularly with all this machine thinking, we're naturally going to want those around us who can guide us through it and who we believe are trustworthy and who connect with us as humans. And this is not like an either or situation. Like everyone can work on this ability to connect and to be liked and known and trusted. Um, but it's quite a personal journey, I would say. So it's not, the corporate world hasn't nailed it. It's been individuals who either were lucky in the way that they were brought up to be kind of believed in by their parents, or they just had a natural leg up into the world of, okay, well, I'm just comfortable being myself, or the ones that have kind of explored who they are and what they're about and been on almost like a spiritual journey, or if you don't want to put it in those terms, like a self-awareness and self-development journey, um, who come to the fore and are able to say, yeah, well, I believe in this and this and this. These are my values. These are how I work. This is, what I want to do in the world. And what about you? And it just comes from this deeply honest place. And it immediately makes other people in the room kind of relax because you don't have to second guess what's going on behind their corporate mask. And they're also the ones who are more comfortable getting out there and being seen either in the physical world, out there networking and working the scene, or in places like this, social media channels. They're not mad egomaniacs. They're people who have found a connection to what matters to them and are working a path. No one's got everything mapped out, but they're working a path to how this slightly uncomfortable thing, like making a LinkedIn video or TikTok, can lead to this, to this, to this. And they're doing it, they're giving it a go, and they've kept their ego in check enough not to let their ego shout at them and be like, no, it's too unsafe. What will your ex-boyfriend think? Or what will your boss from 10 years ago think you're up to? Because we have to individualize at a much higher level now. We have to stop hiding in these groups of people, and looking around going like, oh, well, if, Carla is, what's Carla up to? Because I should probably be doing the same as her, or, we're at the same level, so we should have exactly the same money. And, I should have the same house as her. And why aren't I married yet? Because she's married. Or, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's got nothing to do with you, what Carla's up to and where she's at with her career, but everything to do with you, about what you want for your future and what you want to spin up into the world and what you want your legacy to be, and all those like juicy big questions that so many of us just avoid because there's this sort of corporate safety net that keeps us in check. But I know that if you're watching this, you're not that person that just wants to hide. So you are curious and you are going to go on your own AI journey. The yeah, people will buy the story your eyes tell the world. That's something that I just wrote when I was making some notes about this theme. Like, if people are going to look in your eyes and see clarity and energy and excitement and motivation and honesty, then you're going to do good business with them. And that's what I believe. You know, as great as a hologram could be, it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have a soul and a spirit, so you won't pick up on its energy in the same way, at least not in this generation of AI. Don't, all you sci-fi fans and tech enthusiasts can probably tell me what the future is actually going to bring on that front. Maybe I don't want to know on that. But I think for now, we're safe to say that you know, they'll buy the story that your eyes tell the world, not the processes, not the level of experience, not the creds, although obviously that will come into it, but the natural confidence, the surety and wonder and anticipation of going on this journey with another trusted partner, and someone that you want to go for a coffee with. Comes down to that so often, right? So I hope you enjoyed that little insight into where my mind's at with AI. I'm sure I'll come back to this on future episodes of Megawatts Mega Chat. But for now, have an awesome day. Bye.